Good evening, boys and girls. Probably just boys, if we're being honest. Sorry for the short notice. I realized late in the afternoon that I'm actually kind of busy tomorrow and not going to be around in the evening probably. So I was like, I should probably get a member stream in. And I remembered we were going to do the portfolio review. So we'll do that. To be honest, I don't have a whole lot planned. I could go and ramble on and on about my own teams for a long time, but I don't know how much you guys want to know or want to hear. So please feel free to ask whatever. I'm all for transparency, but basically just going to talk through like what my Dynasty season looked like, where my teams are sitting right now. Some optimism, some frustrations, stuff like that. Scotty, I see you. Go Sixers. I don't know what the Sixers are up to, but go Sixers. I'm all for that. Carson is here. Cap 10 is here he's here out of pity for me. I appreciate that. I'll take pity views. I'll take whatever kind of views you're offering. Austin, you kind of broke your own rule here because you are in fact chatting. Russell, I'm so sorry for being late. I really do apologize. First of all, I just want to say first game of the fantasy playoffs was like an absolute bust, like 0 out of 10 experience for me. And I did not enjoy it. I am still angry about it. Legitimately, I think every single matchup that I have where a player from this game was featured, I have lost win percentages. Like I started Ibuka and Bucky Irving in multiple leagues, and they didn't hit projections. And then I faced a team that had Baker and Godwin. I'm facing a Kyle Pitts team in 1.0 tight end premium. So I was projected like 65% to win, and Kyle Pitts scored 56 points, and now I am projected 41% chance to win in what should have been, a fairly easy matchup. And also, sleeper projections are so bogus. When you are down a massive amount of points, whatever the percentage says on sleeper, I swear it's actually lower. Like, I can't prove this, but I swear that projection's lower, because if you think about it, it's based on the projections for the players, and it's so much easier for players to go under their projection than over. So like if you're down 56 points after one player, like you have to run so pure on your guys hitting and exceeding projections. Like you have no room for error when it comes to players busting. So I do not believe for 1 second that I have a 41% chance to win. I think it's probably like 30%. So that's fun. That's a fun way to start the weekend. But yeah, like I said, a lot of percentages went down. I had Mike Evans in my lineup in one league, and I benched him at the last minute because I thought, this is kind of dumb, right? First game back from a broken collarbone. Baker Mayfield has been terrible. They said he's going to be on a pitch count. AJ Terrell is going to be covering him. He's not going to have this probably isn't a good week to play Mike Evans. And so, made that mistake, which was cool. So anyway, I'm just salty about it. Hopefully the rest of the weekend goes well. I know that there isn't a lot to be gained from sweating some percentages shifting and projections. It just feels significant because it's a Thursday and we have to wait 3 days. Most of this stuff doesn't matter. Like there's so much more football to be played. But yeah, I think I'm pretty cooked in the Redneck Yacht Club League, where I am facing Kyle Pitts. And I can't even be excited about Kyle Pitts. I truly don't care. I really don't care. I used to be a truther. I dumped all the shares. I felt there was no reason to remain faithful to Kyle Pitts. I just had seen absolutely nothing from him. I'm not convinced we see anything from him long term when this offense has a single other viable pass catcher in it, or when he's on a new team. But hey, congrats to those that held, especially if you started him this week. You are going to make the semifinals, so that's pretty cool for you. Okay, enough complaining. We don't have to complain anymore. This isn't complaining so much as it is expressing concern. The Bucky Irving usage sucks. He has been Ken Walkered in the biggest way right now, and I don't really know why. He's missed time with injury this year, but it is odd to like tailor his usage so that he still gets way more touches than every other back on the team. He just doesn't get the most important touches. Like typically, if you were going to limit your running backs' touches, you would think you would want your best running back to get the most touches in the area of the field where they can make the most impact, rather than load him up with touches between the 20s and then pull him inside the 10. Very, very weird. I don't know if this is going to stick. I don't know what the reasoning is. If it does stick, it sucks. Like, you're not going to bench Bucky Irving. He still had 17 touches in that game. He had 20 like opportunities. He had 19 opportunities. He had 3 targets, 16 carries. So you're not benching him. But if he genuinely can't like score inside the red zone, inside the 10-yard line, the upside is absolutely capped. There's just no logical reason to not let him play in that area of the field. But it sucks. I mean, it sucks. Like, if you look back at what he was doing, anybody that wants to say this was like inevitable or Bucky was always ranked too high, if you just look at what he was doing the first 4 weeks of the season, he was getting 4 to 5 targets a game. He was getting goal line work. He was dominating the backfield. And it's like, I don't know, they just got spooked by him getting hurt, or somehow him getting hurt, they saw something in Sean Tucker that they didn't see before. But anyway, it sucks. I wouldn't go out and try to sell Bucky Irving. I don't think you're going to get anything reasonable as a return. I'd rather just hold and hope for the best, because I do think he's really good. But like rest of season, he's like a, upside RB2, I guess, unless this is just a blip. But I don't know what the reasoning would be to do it in this game and not other games. With Ibuka, he did see his snap share decline a bit. This was the first game all year with Godwin, Evans, Ibuka, and McMillan healthy, and it did limit his total routes. He only played like 70-something% of the snaps. I didn't actually see what his route participation was, because if he's missing snaps for blocking purposes, I don't care about that too much. But let me just see if this game is available in the data suite here. Just check. It should be, yeah. So route-wise, Chris Godwin ran 37 routes. Wow, okay. This was really actually worse than I thought. So Chris Godwin ran 37 routes. Mike Evans ran 26 routes. Ibuka ran 22 routes. And McMillan ran 19. So he only had a 55% route participation in this game. He did get 7 targets. That was second best. He had a 32% targets per route run. So he was targeted on his routes far more frequently than Chris Godwin, which makes sense because he's a much better player than Chris Godwin at this point in his career. Godwin, 4 targets on his 37 routes. Ibuka, 7 on his 22. So like ultimately, he's still going to get, like, this was a 20.6% target share. He's still going to get enough of a target share that you can roll him out there as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 rest of season. It just seems like right now things are a little bit crowded, and they're showing some deference certainly to the veteran here in Chris Godwin. I think this is not a long-term issue. I haven't really wavered on my thoughts about Ibuka as a talent. Like, he's still getting open constantly. He's drawing targets when on the field constantly. He can run all the routes. He gets design touches at times, screen passes. So I think this is just a situation for patience. You know, we don't have to have, not every rookie wide receiver is going to be a wide receiver one in fantasy. The long-term trajectory, I think, is still very bullish for Ibuka. I would buy him personally. I actually got myself into a bit of a predicament here, and you guys can tell me to stop rambling at any point, but I got myself into a bit of a predicament on one of my contenders because I do really like to balance value considerations with point scoring projections and try to be rational about how much one player is really going to tilt the outcome of a game, the outcome of a matchup. And so I've had this guy that's been hounding me to make a trade, trying to trade away Emeka Ibuka to me for some productive assets. And this is a league that does not have a trade deadline. And so he offered to trade me, Ibuka for Chris Olave and Devontae Adams. And this is a PPR league, start 11. So he offered that deal, and he's on a bye this week, and I'm not. So I said, listen, here's what we'll do, okay? I've thought about it. I want to take the deal. Handshake agreement. We will make the deal on Tuesday. You have my word, no matter what happens, whether Ibuka tears his ACL, I don't care. We will make the trade. Just let me use Olave and Adams this week to try to win my playoff matchup, and then I will trade them to you. So we made that deal, and then, of course, I see this game happens, and it's like, oh, great. So I have, you know, a part-time wide receiver the rest of the way. The reason I was okay making the deal is just Olave, since Tyler Shuck took over, is averaging like a 22, 23% target share. It's really not much better than what we're seeing with Ibuka. And Adams is great. I mean, Adams is really, really great. He's also turning 33 this month, and his entire season is predicated on touchdowns. Like, any game that he doesn't score a touchdown, he's pretty useless in. He has like 2 games over 60 yards this year. He has like 1 game with 6 or more receptions. Like he's like a 4 for 50 and a touchdown player, and sometimes he gets 2. And I just felt like that's a guy that more likely than not is probably averaging like 16, 17 points per game rest of season. Maybe he has a spike week in week 16 or 17. But if I get through this week, there's only 2 games left. You know, how much am I really going to shoot myself in the foot long term to make sure that I can start Adams over, you know, Kareem Hunt or whoever? So I made this trade. We'll see. I will keep you guys posted on whether it costs me a fantasy playoff matchup. Math-wise, it really shouldn't, but we shall see. Austin, you have a question about Ladd. Why is he so far above the nesting doll wide receivers? I mean, I think just because, well, first of all, let's define that term, because I don't think that's necessarily common vernacular, but I guess when you would say nesting doll wide receivers at this point, you'd be referring to the likes of Flowers, Olave, Waddle, Devonta, Higgins, Jordan Addison, these guys that kind of rotate in and out of the wide receiver 2 range. Sometimes they're high end wide receiver 2s, sometimes low end. They shuffle up and down based on their current situations. I would say Ladd McConkey is sort of trending in that direction based on what we've seen this year. But at the same time, he is younger than most players in that group. And I think that, you know, comparing him to someone like Addison, who's a similar age, like what we saw from Ladd as a rookie is just so much more impressive than what we saw from that player. And in addition to that, he does have the bump with the quarterback in Justin Herbert. And in a normal offensive situation, like what we saw from this team the first 6, 7, 8 weeks of the season, I can't believe I just said that. Before that first part of the season, we saw that even though the target shares weren't as dominant, the passing volume was so high and the efficiency was so high that it was ultimately like things were leveling out for Ladd, where he did have a really nice run there. So I think, like, based on the situation, based on his rookie production, I'm still kind of open to the idea that he could grow into a large, like he could regain a larger role over time. Like if we see Keenan Allen retire this offseason, right? We see Quentin Johnson. Well, I'm not really that worried about Quentin Johnson, but I don't know. leaving a light on for the talent we saw with him as a rookie. I think he's a better player just in general than somebody like Flowers, like Waddle. I think he's like, I guess better player maybe is the wrong word. I think he's a little bit more well-rounded and like can do everything if he's asked to. And it just has to do with like what his role is, what he's asked to do. So maybe it's just hopium. Maybe he should be moved down. I wouldn't fault anybody for trying to sell Ladd to get a plus and move down to one of these other wide receivers. I just think he's really good. And I don't really understand why he's not a player that gets at least a 25% target share. I think they would be better served if they were prioritizing him a little bit more heavily. But then again, maybe it's just situation has changed now that Gadsden's there and he's a legit target and Quentin Johnston does some stuff well. Maybe it's just a different situation. With Jaden Reed, where are we at with him? I don't know what his value is right now. Where I'm at with him is in the rankings, which you could see if you ever wanted to upgrade, Scotty, we would love to have you. Your name would look real good in purple in the Discord, but where I have him is in the base 2 range. So I still think he's talented. Similar to Josh Downs, where it's just, I don't know where the routes are going to come from with Jaden Reed. Now I do have him ahead of that spot with Downs because his situation it just seems like his role and situation has taken such a downturn, but he's in the base 2nd range. He's near guys like Alec Pierce, Wan'Dale Robinson, Jacoby Myers. I'd be fine trading him away for any of those names. I'd be fine trading those guys for him. I think it's very fungible in that tier. I think he's definitely a better fit in like a start 3 wide receiver league. I think he lacks some ceiling upside, but I think he's talented enough to like hang around and be relevant in the wide receiver 3 conversation long term. And yes, Austin, I know Blue gets rankings. I just think Scotty's a cool guy, and he would be a good addition to the inner circle in the league winners chat. That's all I'm saying. Magum X, do you think that JJ McCarthy is cooked as a franchise quarterback? Yeah, I do. I do think he's cooked. I mean, it would be pretty unprecedented to turn around from what he has done in his starts thus far to become a true franchise quarterback. It just seems really, really unlikely. The quarterback position is weird. It's a lot of voodoo, a lot of unpredictability, so I won't rule anything out. But yeah, I'm concerned. I've talked recently, like in last week's stream, I talked about Justin Jefferson and why he's been a faller and why I'm more comfortable moving him, because I just don't think the Vikings have a quarterback solution on the horizon. I don't think that they have an imminent upgrade coming. Now, maybe Kirk Cousins is the answer. I don't know. He looked pretty decent last night. Maybe they can get a reunion between those two, and maybe that can be the answer. But I don't think they have a solution. So, yeah, I am a little concerned about Addison. It's why he has kind of drifted down a little bit in the rankings. You know, I have him behind a couple extra rookie picks relative to like Devonta Smith and T. Higgins, even Luther Burden. So I have dropped him a little bit. I just think he's the type of wide receiver that really does require a functional passing game around him. Otherwise, he's not going to be enough of a focal point on his own. And he just becomes kind of a worse version of what Devonta Smith is in a low volume offense in Philadelphia. Because, as much as you might hate Jalen Hurts, he's better than JJ McCarthy for sure. And Devonta Smith is better than Jordan Addison. So he's just kind of, if he was in an offense like a Joe Burrow offense, a Matt Stafford offense where he could be the second option, I think he could thrive. But it's really hard to get excited about him right now and for the near future with no solutions out there at quarterback. JJ McCarthy is the most likely starting quarterback for this team next year, and I would say second on that list is probably like Marcus Mariota, Kirk Cousins, maybe Kyler Murray if you're lucky. It's tough scenes. This is a great trade for sure. I would take the 102 over Nico, and I would be fine with taking a second over JJ McCarthy. I think that's totally fine. Not Not mad at that one at all. Good deal. All right, so I'm going to try to talk through this portfolio. Like I said, please feel free to ask me any questions, anything you're curious about. I have no shame about talking about my bad teams. I have no shame in gloating about my good teams. If you're curious what the teams look like, what players I have, I can try to find that information for you. But I'm going to just pull up here the spreadsheet that I use to track this stuff, and it's going to be a lot of information. I don't know how helpful it'll be to look at, but here's what I have. Okay, I have this spreadsheet. It has all my leagues. I've pure potential color coded it because I'm a giant nerd. But these are all my leagues here. And then I have this column here for phase. I haven't updated this much, but it's supposed to kind of give me a quick indication of where this team is at, whether it's a contender, a favorite is like likely to get a bye. And those match up fairly well with where I did actually get buys. A dynasty is a team where I'm like top of the league in value and also top in production. I only have one team I'm really willing to give that designation to. It's pretty ridiculously stacked. Should be a bye week favorite for multiple years, even if I do basically nothing with it. So that's kind of a fun team. Fortunately, not the highest buy-in league, but yeah, so I have those teams. And then at the bottom, I just have, whenever a team is out of contention, I move it down to the bottom of the list. And then down here, I have my tanks. A teardown is what I call it when you like switch to tanking mid-season because you're like tearing down the roster. You're taking pieces off of it. This one is a reboot, which I guess isn't a perfect term, but basically I already tore this team down. It was just in a bad spot. So I ended up having to tank this season as well. Not really tearing anything down because there was nothing to tear down. I didn't have many players at all. It was just kind of in waiting mode, kind of just in a holding pattern. Here I also have my trade deadlines listed just so I could see. I marked the ones that already passed in red. And then I have, as you can see, I have a lot of leagues without deadlines. I'm not a big fan of that, especially because it just makes me feel like I have to do extra work. I'm like, oh man, this league doesn't have a deadline. Now I have to like go out and look for trade offers and see if there's anything that makes sense. Cause I'm too lazy to, I mean, I'm not too lazy. I'm too dedicated and like too competitive to just ignore a league that doesn't have a deadline. It's like, if I'm in the playoffs and there's no deadline, like I'm going to keep working the phones. So I've been busy. Here we have my list of seeds. So this is where I ended up at the end of the regular season. And you can see I've also listed the playoff status. Out of a total of 31 Dynasty teams this year, I have 25 that are in the playoffs. Of those 25 in the playoffs, 12 of them have bye weeks. You can see those listed here in green. And I have 6 teams that are the 3 seed, which is kind of annoying. Would have liked to get a couple of those over the hill. This one down here, this Wild and Crazy, this is a best ball league, and there were like 3 teams at the top, me and then these 2 other teams, and every week, like it felt like none of us would ever lose, like nobody would ever drop any wins. I just kept getting closer and closer, or like one week I would get 1 win up and I would be the 2 seed for a second, and then I would lose and go back down again. It was very frustrating. I could not get into that bye week spot, but I'm a pretty decent favorite this week. I just got a good 30 bomb from Bijan, so hopefully going to make it through. Austin, what makes you say this? I don't know why you think I'm cooked in Ottoman. I think my Ottoman team's not in a bad spot right now, but feel free to elaborate if you're concerned about it. Rich, I wouldn't be opposed to sharing a version of this template. I could doctor it up a little bit. I did share like an earlier version of it with some of the league winners, but I've made some changes to it from then. But yeah, this has this has conditional formatting here, which is obviously, I mean, if you've used Sheets, it's not hard to set up. I'm not some kind of a computer whiz, but I just type in W or L, it changes the color automatically. As you can see, I'm a fan of the colors here. And then I also have it set up to calculate the records. I actually have between each of these columns, I have a column for league median. Some leagues have the league median, so that will calculate and factor into these records all over here. on the left side. And then I just like to hide that column because I don't like how it looks. So Carson, these leagues are all 12-team leagues with the exception of one, the Mario Kart Fantasy Football League that my friend runs. It's an Empire League. It's a 14-team Empire League. It has like special Mario Kart themed rules. Basically, he has this spreadsheet that like randomly generates items. It's actually very impressive and complicated amount of coding, but it like randomly generates items based on your position in the league. And there are items and you can use the items each week and they give different item bonuses. Like, you know, a mushroom, you get 10 extra points added. A banana, you can like throw it behind you and there's like a random % chance that another team will slip on the banana and lose points, or you can like hold it behind you to protect yourself from items. It's a total chaotic mess, and he does a lot of work to make it happen. And then throughout the season, it doesn't have a normal structure. Like throughout the season, there are these 4-week cups, and he'll calculate wins via all play for cups. And then he'll also calculate like the season long standings. Every team makes the playoffs and gets sorted into 2 different races for the fantasy playoffs, and that's like total points. And each of these different things gives you coins, and if you collect enough coins, then you reset the Empire pot. So it's a very complicated league, but it's a 14-team super flex. So yeah, it's a super silly league. I have one league like that, and then the other league here, Gotta Catch 'Em All, is a league that I started with Chris, the mod in Discord. We are big Pokemon nerds, and we started this Pokemon themed league where you basically have to satisfy different conditions to get gym badges. And if you get all 8 badges, you can reset the league and pay it off. So the badges have like conditions like finishing the regular season with the best record, most points, winning the championship, weekly high scores, things like that. And then you can activate the badges once per season for like a special effect, and you try to collect the badges. You can steal them from other trainers in the playoffs. And the only reason I'm actually in the playoffs in that league, I'm the 6th seed, is because in week 14, we have what's called Victory Road, and basically the top 4 seeds become the Elite Four, which is a sick reference if you're a Pokemon enjoyer. The Elite Four all have a bye in week 14, and then the other 8 teams do an all play, and it's all play for the last 2 playoff spots. But the caveat is that it actually takes your average points from the weeks 1 to 13, and then it adds those points to your week 14 score, and the highest 2 scores from that week are the 5 and the 6 seed. So I actually tried to tank in this league, failed because Trey McBride and Josh Allen and Drake London are just too sick. Didn't tank successfully. Got to week 14, realized that I might as well take a shot and get in the playoffs. The draft order is already set anyway at Victory Road. I was able to sneak in, get that 2nd spot, and then I made a few trades, which I posted in the trade channel. I made 3 trades. I added Juwan Jennings, CeeDee Lamb, and Travis Etienne, and Bam Knight to this team to try to give it a little bit of a chance. And I actually have a decent chance. I'm like a 43% chance to win the playoff matchup this week. So, and that's without Drake London. So we'll see what happens if I can survive this week and get Drake London back. I could be cooking. We'll see. But it's fun. Chris does a great job like keeping it under control. I mean, I'm technically a co-commissioner. He just does all the work for me because he's a great guy and he's much more on top of that stuff than me. But you guys most of you didn't tune into this stream to hear about my weird, nerdy Empire formats. But what you might be curious about is, I guess, like, you know, how I think this is going to play out, right? So just being an analyst, you know, knowing what you're talking about does not guarantee anything. And I'm definitely curious to see how this league's or how this year is gonna turn out for me, because last year was, I did come out ahead, I did profit, but it wasn't like a crazy great year. Like I remember thinking at the end of the year with like the amount that I had won, you know, relative to my buy-ins, I was like, man, I feel like I did a lot of work for like not a lot of reward. This year with 12 buys, I should be in a much better position. Like even if I just come out like 50-50 out of these bye weeks in these leagues, I should be in a good spot. There's some teams I feel really good about. There's some teams I'm pretty nervous about. But yeah, if you guys have any like curiosities, I guess, about some of these teams or leagues, I would love to know. Freelster, I am not very confident. Like it seems like the way they're talking about him, it's like they want to get him back because they won this week. I think there might be a better chance because they're not like mathematically eliminated. I'm sure they know deep down in their souls that they're not going to make the playoffs, but Raheem Morris is coaching for his job. Like, not that he's going to get fired this year, but he is coaching for his job in a sense. And the team, like, he wants to keep the locker room and the team in good spirits. Like, I think he's going to try to come back. Whether he does or not, I don't know. But if he was close this week and they have a 10-day layoff, like, I am cautiously optimistic that he will be back for next week. Scotty, I walked into Victory Road with Blastoise, Alakazam, and overleveled Kangaskhan and said, how did I win? Dude, let me just, you know what? I'm going to pull up the lineup here. The lineup that I rolled out in Victory Road, okay? Just, you need to hear this, okay? Because it is actually ridiculous. This was my lineup. In Victory Road, I started, well, first of all, I started Breece Hall, and he sucks. He scored 4 points. Here are the real players I had. Josh Allen, who scored 46. That helped. Breece Hall, RJ Harvey, Trey McBride, Zach Charbonnet, I guess is kind of a real player, and Sam Darnold. Now, what happened is that Sam Darnold and Josh Allen combined for 76 points. RJ Harvey got me a nice 19. Actually, a down game for my guy Trey McBride, only 13 tight end premium points. Breece Hall only had 4. But Ryan Flournoy came through with 26.5 points, which was the difference. Ryan Flournoy was the difference. The other players I started were Tom Kennedy, scored 0. David Sills scored 0. Dontavian Wicks scored 0. Olamide Zaccheaus actually managed to reel in a touchdown. He got me 8.7. Charbonnet only got 7.6. So I started 3 goose eggs as well as Olamide Zaccheaus. And I still somehow got in on Victory Road. So that was an underdog. And by the way, I got 76 points from Allen and Darnold, and I didn't even start my best quarterback lineup because I had Shedeur Sanders on the bench who got 43. So it was improbable, but I decided to try to capitalize on it since I still had a few days to make trades. And so we'll see what happens. Austin says, do you think you have better teams from older leagues? Yes, I think that there is definitely some truth to that. Let me see here. So I can actually let me pull up my sheet on another tab so I can look at the other tabs that I have, because I have another tab where I track all of the like money stuff, and I also track when the leagues started. So for example, this league, the Best Ball Dynasty League, is from 2022 startup. This Console Wars League, I actually took over as an orphan in 2021, and it was horrible. I think I tanked for 2 full years because it was in such a bad spot. That is a league where I made, I think, the single best dynasty trade I've ever made, which was trading Kareem Hunt for Justin Jefferson and a second in his rookie season. I guess it must have been 2020 I took over then. It must have been 2020 season. Like, I think it was like right before the 2020 season because that was obviously Jefferson's rookie year. So that was a long time in the making. I had to do a multi-year tank on that one. The Dynasty Smash Bros League and the Dunder Mifflin Dynasty League are my two of my oldest. Those started in 2020 as well. And I am the 1 seed in those. I do have a good bit of value in those. So I think if you are a good manager and you're making smart moves over time, like you should, outside of situations where you get really bad luck, you get hit with a lot of bad variance, you should be able to build up value over time while being competitive. It just takes a couple of, I mean, if you just win a couple trades in a really big way, then you're pretty much there. It doesn't always work that way. Like you can have teams that are older, that are really good, and then you can get absolutely wrecked by a bunch of different things that all happen at the same time. So it's not a guarantee. But I do generally seem to think that my older leagues are higher value. Maybe that's just because I played with different types of people in those leagues, and there may be more casuals. Like this Dynasty Origins league is a pretty high value team, and I feel like the managers in it are like, they're just a little bit more casual. Not that I'm like ripping people off on the regular, but just there's a little bit less of the hive mind, a little bit less of the typical market mentality. I've been able to make some really advantageous deals over the years in these leagues, and it can compound. So that is the case. Now, I do have some really good teams that are first year. This No Fun League, I actually did this startup in August. Let me see. I actually did that startup in August, like right before the season started. And let's see what that team looks like. This team was crazy because I was the 3 seed going into the last week. And the only way that I was going to get, well, actually, it didn't end up mattering. This team, Kev, one of our members, shout out Kev, he had the same record as me. Or actually, no, he was 1 win up on me. And he was projected to win his matchup. So I thought I was going to have to outscore him by 85 points in order to surpass him. And I actually did outscore him by 85 points in the last week. Didn't end up mattering because he did actually miss the median. Or he lost, I don't know, one or the other. So it didn't matter. But either way, I am now the 2nd seed. Arlen is in this league. He's one of the members. Chris, the mod I just talked about, is in there. Kev is in there. And then some other people. I don't think any of these others are members. But yeah, this is what the team looks like right now. We got Allen, Caleb, Matthew Stafford, Kirko Chains, Achan, Warren, Dowdle, Tracy, Rodriguez, Keaton Mitchell, Kenneth Gainwell, Tony Pollard. Gets kind of gross in the running back room pretty quickly. And then I've got Puka, McMillan, Flowers, Diggs, and I have Kittle, Juwan, Hawkinson at tight end. I do not have my 2026 first, or I don't have any of my own 26 picks. I do have a 2nd and a 4th from other people. I don't have my 27 2nd. So a little bit low on picks. It's a very like top heavy team with Allen and Caleb, Achan, Puka, McMillan. But I think it has the firepower. If you look at who's in my lineup right now, like the quarterbacks are obviously solid, wide receivers and Kittle are solid. It's that last flex spot is a little bit weak. I could go back and forth between Tracy, Dowdle, Diggs, Juwan. It is tight end premium, depending on the matchups. But yeah, that's where I landed. This league already did have the trade deadline pass, so we'll see how it goes. Definitely happy to have a bye this week. But yeah, I made a trade right before the playoffs. I moved RJ Harvey. It was unfortunate because it was right before he broke out. I moved Harvey and Emeka Ibuka for Achan and Kittle. I guess Ibuka taking a little bit of a step down kind of makes up for it. But Achan and Kittle, just such a strong duo to add right before the playoff run. I just really couldn't resist that. So hoping this team works out. Arlen's got a pretty sick team as well. His quarterback room's kind of rough, but you can see the wide receivers here with JSN, Jefferson, Rice, AJ Brown. He also has Trey McBride. It's pretty much all you need to win your league. And Cook and Chase Brown, solid duo running backs there. Just needs to hope neither of them get hurt. But yeah, pretty good team. Yeah, I don't know about Gibbs' trajectory, just because he's like not the kind of player I would compare to Jahmyr Gibbs, because he's like such a plotter, and But yeah, I mean, he was obviously in a really good position, and he was putting up a lot of points. I think it was actually, so interestingly enough, this trade would have been actually when he was on the Browns. And I believe it was a spot where Nick Chubb got hurt like at the beginning of the season, and Kareem Hunt was supposed to take over and be this running back one candidate the rest of the year. And he ended up being pretty disappointing, I think, but there was a lot of hype there. And Jefferson was coming off of some bad games. This manager was being very impulsive, and it worked out. Goldhorn, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, Austin, I mean, I don't think you need to be like concerned about this. Also, I do think some perspective is helpful. Like, I know that you have access to advice and you have more information than I would have had when I started playing Dynasty, but like, I genuinely sucked at Dynasty for such a long time. Such a long time that it took until I think 2 years ago for me to even cross over into a positive return on investment as a Dynasty player. So I don't know. I think some patience is definitely good. You do, I think you get kind of a better feel for the game, better feel for like how to get trades done, how to deal with your league mates. That's another thing that comes from being in a league for multiple years, is just knowing who to go to for certain trades and like how to work a deal with certain managers. It's harder when you're in new leagues and you don't really know people. Carson, where do you find all these leagues? So some of it's a wide variety. Some of these were started just straight up like from random people on Twitter. Some of these were started in the Pure Potential Discord. Some of them were joined through mutual friends. One or two of them are like industry leagues where I was invited by another analyst to it. Yeah, I mean, all over the place. I've joined from different Discords that I've been in. Only place I can say like I haven't ever really joined a league from is Reddit, or I've never joined a league from like the Sleeper app itself. I know there are some advertisements or some people asking for leagues in there. I haven't joined those, but yeah, just a variety of places. I would say if you were going to join a league, I would start in the Pure Potential Discord in the Find a League area, just like see if anybody would want to do one. Otherwise, you could go to the Domain Dynasty Discord. You could go to, I mean, really any number of Discords within the industry. I feel like that's kind of the best place to find people that aren't terrible. If you want to try your luck on Reddit or whatever, I guess that's fine. Hey, Keith, I appreciate you, man, with the super chat. Is there anything? I don't see any comments or questions attached to it, but yeah, man, I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much. Oh, nice. Hitting the Niners versus Titans game on Sunday. CMC and Kittle should feast, but could see them putting on ice if San Francisco builds a big enough lead. Thanks for all that you do. Well, here's the thing. I guess thankfully for our fantasy teams, the 49ers defense is not too hot. Hopefully the Titans can find whatever it was they had last week against the Browns and they can harness that and keep this competitive, because it's a juicy matchup defensively for the Niners. So I would love if this could turn into a little bit of a shootout, run up the scores on CMC, run up the scores on Kittle. I have some Juwan Jennings teams that could really use a big week, so that would be nice. But anyway, I appreciate you. Austin, I do like the BDGE leagues. I thought they shut those down. I don't know when they start them back up again. I'm actually kind of getting the itch for a startup. I might go digging for one pretty soon. What else did I want to say? Oh, I guess it would be, so I don't know if there's a good way to like quickly identify where I have certain players. I guess I could go to my portfolio. Let me try to sync this portfolio here. That league doesn't count. Okay. All right, so let me see here. So these are my most rostered players. As you can see, I have Riley Leonard in 15 leagues. Kind of pissed off about the Phillip Rivers signing, to be honest, because I was early on this. But regardless, he's not getting started in my contending leagues. Juwan Jennings, I apparently have in 13 leagues. This is news to me. 13 leagues. Starting, I just acquired him in this league last night. I am starting him in, not this league. This is the best ball. Not starting him here. Starting him here. I'm starting Juwan Jennings in a lot of leagues this week. So I would not mind a big Juwan Jennings game. I am trying to not start Jacoby Brissett. I don't think I have to start him here. I might actually have him in the lineup in this. Oh, I actually have a buy in this one. Never mind. This is best ball. Benched him here. Best ball. Benched him here. I think I benched him here. I need to check. I don't really want to start Jacoby Brissett this week if I don't have to, because this Houston defense is insane. I mean, I'm sure he'll just throw the ball 50 times and he'll get there in garbage time either way, but it does make me a little bit uneasy. I actually do have him in, but again, I have a bye week in this league, so never mind. I do not have him in Origins. I am playing Justin Herbert against the Chiefs over Jacoby Brissett, which is probably stupid, maybe a bad idea. I don't know. What do you guys think about that one? Justin Herbert versus the Chiefs or Jacoby Brissett versus the Texans. It sucks that that's even a question, but Herbert's so banged up. They've been so bad. I have Bucky Irving in this league. I freaking hate that. Herbert is actually projected slightly higher. I feel like I'd just rather go down with the elite quarterback than the garbage time king, personally. So I'm going to keep him in. All right. It doesn't matter. I have Lamar Jackson in that league, so I'm probably like automatically going to lose anyway. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the leagues where I have Jacoby Brissett or best ball anyway. Nico. I have Nico Collins in 10 leagues, and he is an auto start, obviously. So let's get ourselves a big Nico Collins week. Let's get ourselves a big Puka Nacua week. Please, please, and thank you. Puka Nacua, Nico Collins in a lot of leagues. Devon Achane, 8 leagues. Rashee Rice, 8 leagues. I actually don't know if my MFL league is loaded up in here. I'm not sure. Let me see. Oh yeah, it is. Console Wars. Yes, it is. Not starting Geno. Not starting Tyrod. Trey McBride, 7 leagues for Trey. 7 for Ladd. I think he's starting in all of them. Don't think I'm that loaded and rich that I can bench Ladd McConkey. So these are the guys that I'm rooting for this week. McMillan, Dak. This one's kind of scary. The Vikings have been pretty tough on quarterbacks. I'm hoping that doesn't hold true this week. I'm relying on him in some key spots. I know I have really tight matchup here. These two are really tight. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4. I have him in 4 leagues that are all pretty tight projections. So a big Dak week would really help me. Austin, I would play Jacoby Brissett over Tyler Warren in tight end premium for sure. Not even close. Yeah, I mean, at this point we're getting into some lower numbers, but I have Genty in 7 leagues. I have Devontae Adams in 7. I have Zay Flowers in 6. Sadly, I have Breece Hall and Bucky Irving in 6. I wish these guys were freaking good. Yeah, so that's where we're at. And Brock Bowers, of course, my king, Brock Bowers. So we'll see how this goes. Those are the guys I'm rooting for. Josh Allen, Drake May. I have in a couple of high leverage spots this week. But that's what the portfolio is looking like. Where are my inactive starters? Oh. Jaden Daniels. All these teams are eliminated or on bye, so that's why he's still in there. Oh, I have to take Tyrod out, though, of my Mario Kart lineup. Let's take out Tyrod. And are we starting Phillip Rivers or Cam Ward in the Superflex? Phillip Rivers or Cam Ward? I mean, Cam Ward has a better matchup against San Francisco. He's also projected for fewer points, if you can believe it, than Phillip Rivers. So I don't know what to make of that. But I think I'm going to play Cam. This Mario Kart team is hanging on by a thread, dude. I've got Kyler on IR, Dobbins on IR, Tucker Kraft on IR. My quarterback room is Jacoby Brissett, Cam Ward, Phillip Rivers, Tyrod Taylor, and Joe Flacco. This thing is duct taped together. It is rough scenes right now. All right. Cool. All right. Warren or Strange in 0.75 tight end premium? I mean, honestly, right now, probably Strange. I don't have a lot of faith in the Colts offense until I see that Phillip Rivers is actually a guy. So I would play Rivers. Flacco's not available right now. Flacco is still on the Bengals, as far as I know. I know he had like a weird disciplinary thing, I guess, or like they sent him home or something, but he's still under contract with the Bengals. They didn't cut him or anything, so they could not grab Flacco, unfortunately. And I think that their league has a trade deadline. Lamar gonna make or break my championship aspirations, dude. Perfect spot against the Bengals this week. Not a good defense. He did not perform against them last time, but I'm riding with Lamar. Obviously, you're not benching Lamar Jackson. I actually have a very scary spot this week. I'm starting Lamar. I'm starting Zay Flowers, and I'm starting Isaiah Likely all in the same matchup. I'm starting Likely over Gadsden and over Shakir. And you guys can tell me I'm stupid if you want. I would love to hear it. Isaiah Likely had 5 for 95 against the Bengals 2 weeks ago. The Bengals literally have the worst tight end defense of all time this year. Andrew's a little banged up in practice this week. Plus he sucks. So I don't know. Shakir has 2 or fewer receptions in 3 of his last 4 games. Gadsden has been unplayable for weeks because that offensive line is terrible. I don't know. Is it too galaxy brain to play Likely over those guys? I feel like it makes sense. Also, this lineup is not accurate. I don't have Theo Johnson in, but anyway, I don't know. I feel like playing Likely makes sense, but you guys should tell me if I'm stupid. Either way, putting a lot of faith into the Ravens passing game. So it's going to be kind of feast or famine there, I think. Luckily, I have the GOAT Harold Fannin and Puka Nacua, and maybe Saquon Barkley finally in a good rebound spot for him. We'll see. Travis Etienne, RB1 season. I don't know. I'm stressed out about this one, even though it's just a stupid $25 league. What? Oh, never mind. Okay. Yeah. All right, guys. Any other questions? Doesn't have to be about this. Could be about anything else. Any Dynasty related stuff that you want from me at this point, or you want to wrap this up? Ooh, that's an interesting question. Jennings versus Tennessee or Ladd versus the Chiefs? I mean, I think I'm still gonna ride with Ladd. Just better player. It's gonna be a competitive game script for sure. I feel like the Texans had decent enough success passing against them. I don't know. That's a tough call. I feel like it could go either way. I would just rather go down with with Ladd than Jennings. You think there's any shot late ones are just cheaper this year? What do you mean? Like market value wise, like are they going to stay cheaper the whole off season? I don't really know. I mean, there's always some there's going to be some variation from year to year in terms of the value. Like I will not be surprised if late 2027 firsts are worth more than 2026. But at the same time, they're going to go up in value from where they are right now. And I just want to say 2023 class is probably about worst case scenario. 2023 class, this is what we had after so the top 6 was pretty strong in terms of the prospects. Bijan, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Jahmyr Gibbs, JSN. Then we had 3 first-round wide receivers, none of which were perfect prospects in Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison, Zay Flowers. We had an old first-round tight end to the Bills and Dalton Kincaid. And then the next set of guys, it was Will Levis, second-round pick to the Titans, Zach Charbonnet, second-round pick to the Seahawks, who was a backup running back to Kenneth Walker, Kendre Miller, third-round running back to the Saints, Devon Achane, third-round running back to the Dolphins, Tajay Spears, third-round running back to the Titans, Marvin Mims, second-round wide receiver, Jonathan Mingo, second-round wide receiver, Jaden Reed, second-round wide receiver, Rashee Rice, second-round wide receiver. That's about as bad as you could reasonably project. You also had Sam Laporta mixed in there. It's about as bad as you could see it being with this class. You still had some hits in there, right? You still have an Achane in there. Jaden Reed, Rashee Rice a little bit later. I don't have like full memory of what people were trading those picks for at the time, but people still wanted the picks. They still wanted to draft rookies because at the end of the day, like we do care about the prospects, but people also just care about the dopamine rush of clicking draft. They just love to click the button on the player. They want to draft the player. So I just don't really think it matters that much who's going to be there. There's going to be some fluctuation, but like your margin of error is pretty good. If you're buying a late first today, you are going to profit on that decision in the long run. You're not going to like lose out on that investment. So I wouldn't be too scared, too worried about it. There are enough good prospects in this class that I think. Being in a 36-team league seems cool. You have so many trade partners, and then you go and you send out trades to so many different people, and none of them answer. And it really, really grinds my gears. All right, guys. I think we're going to call it there. If I'm doing my math correctly, I have 13 or 14 playoff matchups this week. I would really love to win 10 of them. That would be sick if I could win 10 of them. Probably going to end up closer to 7 by variance, but 10 would be great. I can pretty much write off the Kyle Pitts one already. Curious which other ones it is. Hopefully my higher buy-in leagues I survive, but we shall see. Hope you guys get what you need this week in week 15. Hopefully we can get you guys some Dynasty championships this year, but appreciate you coming out and chatting with me, letting me ramble on about my Dynasty teams. Yeah, I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you in the clubhouse. Have a good night.